The sting of rejection is a feeling that every human despises. Ed becomes far too familiar with this feeling, perhaps more than any adventurer in the universe, as he is tasked to become exiled from the hero's party 100 different times. Meeting this condition of such brutality, Ed is rewarded with a new skill each time he faces the sting of rejection from another world. The mercenary finally completes his 100th quest and is about to return home when he discovers that there is another mission God has prepared for him. Join us on this adventure as we uncover his unique tale. Ed stands before the very first door of his original world, reminiscing about the faces of his friends, whom he traveled within the first different world he was ever sent to. The event had taken place 100 prior, but it was still new to him. Believing that a life of peace and tranquility sits waiting for him behind the door, Ed proceeds to use the key and tries to open it for himself. We jump right back into Ed's life. His party leader abruptly tells him not to make an appearance, as he is to be laid off from the group. At first, Ed believes it is a joke, but the party leader puts it bluntly in his face and tells him that they are certain about this decision. Having discussed it many times over, Ed realizes that this is not just the opinion of the party leader, but that of the whole party itself. Frantically navigating this uncomfortable development, Ed looks to the people he thought were once his friends for support, reminding them of their promise to take down the Demon King together. Another party member emphasizes the weight of their decision, claiming that he was once a talented party member who taught them many things. However, his recent contributions have been extremely low, as he has decided to take shortcuts and given into his laziness. He points out Ed's stagnation as the only member of the party who doesn't improvise or improve their abilities, making him a weakness to their team. Thus, the hammer of cold rejection and scrutiny rocked Ed's shoulders as he was banished from the hero's party. As one door closes, another opens. His banishment from one party actually meets the condition of the system, granting Ed an eerie smile as he celebrates in hysteria in front of his teammates. Ed claims that it was actually his wish to be banished, and it went exactly as he had planned. As if to return the beautiful gift of resignation, Ed manipulated dimensional storage magic and shocked the eyes of everyone before him. The party members find this new skill attractive and believe that it could vastly help them in their missions. However, Ed doesn't have any of it and claims that he has just put together an instruction manual comprising a different number of training methodologies from the battles he has been a part of. Ed wants his teammates to use this knowledge as a reference for growth in themselves for the future. One girl asks him about a magic name that she is unfamiliar with. Ed checks the name and tells her that it's only going to be something she learns as she matures as a mage, as he has jotted many details on a totally different sheet. The first adventurer who shunned Ed pointed to the sophisticated map and questioned its incredibly complex detail, to the point it had the layout of all the hidden passages and traps drawn with keen precision. Ed corrects him, stating that it is a map of some of the places that he has been to. The hero of the party, who previously told Ed that his skills were useless, collapsed right in front of him in a sincere apology. He tells Ed that he was careless in his judgment, and so do the other party members, who also share their misjudgment, not knowing how useful he was at the time. Ed suddenly finds the support of all the party members, who previously didn't accept or speak up for him. The party members claim that they were idiots to accept this decision in the first place. These guys are the definition of fake friends. As if attracted by Ed's newfound powers, the hero of the party offers Ed another chance to return to the party. Ed behaves appropriately and emphasizes that he is the one who can't rejoin the party now. The hero believes that it is only right for them to suffer this loss, having banished him in the first place. Ed wishes them the best and hopes that they eventually take down the Demon King with their powers. Bro said, "Nah, peace out." Saying that, Ed leaves right away, pacing his way through the town hall. The system informs him that he will be returning in 10 seconds. In those final few seconds, Ed tries to isolate himself in a nice spot, before his system commences world transmigration yet another time. Ed allows himself to be warped by the pull of the portal and comes to find himself in another world, realizing that it has been a while since he came here. Ed claims that he did everything in his power to complete his mission, and declares wanting to go back to his original world. Ed tries to talk to a mysterious presence who doesn't respond to him, even after he had completed his missions. Ed reflects that he was just an ordinary mercenary in the past, who was suddenly summoned to this random place. The only thing he saw was a mysterious book coated in white. Not only that, there was just one door right next to him. God refused to talk to him at that point, forcing Ed to try and read the book for himself as the only choice he had. Ed quickly navigated through the book, discovering that one could use the door as a pathway to another world, be recognized as an ally to the main hero in each world, and maintain trust for half a year. After accomplishing the previous conditions, one needs to get exiled, meet the conditions of the quest, and make a return to this place. Obviously, Ed didn't really know what that meant, and also knew that he would always have to travel to a different world through the transmigration door. He wrestled with the contents of the book to a loss at the time. However, in the present moment, Ed celebrates at the sight of amassing 100 doors to 100 different worlds, knowing that it took him a century to get exiled from each one of them. Accomplishing an extremely daunting task, Ed feels pure satisfaction having done everything and shouts at the mystical jewel for not sharing his enthusiasm. The dude is mad that nobody is there to celebrate his big W. To Ed's dismay, God said nothing even after his grand accomplishment. Ed thinks that he found the benefit of not getting older as time operated completely differently in another world. Ed explains that while normally training, the muscle would develop muscle and some kind of growth would occur. However, every time he returned to this blank space of a white world, he found that all his changes had been reset, and he only reverted to the state of his original body when he first arrived here. Ed knows that his body and soul are in his 20s, even after his adventures of visiting 100 different worlds over the span of a century. He muses that he is just a regular guy who lives a longer life than most people, and sorrowfully thinks that no one would care for a worthless guy like him, not even his own mother. Oh, is anyone cutting onions in here? Like the video for Ed. Memories of his past come haunting his eyes, as Ed once again requests to be taken home again after completing his exhausting quest. The mystical jewel shines to his request, with Ed realizing that it always gleamed whenever he was about to acquire a new ability after completing his quest in each world. Ed called these powers the exiled skills, which were abilities comprising his spatial dimensional box, allowing him to store just about anything. Ed termed it the Wanderer's Treasury. There is also an ability to record every pathway he takes on a map, ensuring his safety. Ed has the ability to analyze and even replicate. That is also why he was able to ensure his initial success as part of the hero's party, despite being an ordinary person. Ed really doesn't care if this is the final skill he acquires, and wants to retrieve the skill at once. Placing his hand around the mystical globe, Ed is fired up to receive yet another amazing ability. It is his first time ever coming across a one-time use ability, with its effect being better than all the rest. Ed spots something in the distance and realizes that the spatial dimension is being tampered with, as yet another door appears before him. Ed comes to the realization that he has never seen a door to the opposite side, and wonders about the implications. The mercenary quickly grasps that this door is one of his original worlds, leading to the events that occurred in his life right in the beginning. With the mercenary's happiness before his eyes, Ed reaches for the door as if to put an end to his seamless travels and adventures. However, Ed finds himself in a dilemma, realizing that time only flows differently in another world, which means 100 years have gone by on his own planet. Ed questions what lies before him, as everyone he knows might have already been deceased. Hopeless as he is, Ed cries out to God, claiming that he not only dedicated 100 years for his sake but also found himself conned in the process. This is because Ed tragically lifted a weight on his shoulders, without ever even questioning why he had to do so. Ed musters all his clumped frustration and lays it on God. Be that as it may, God chose to stay silent even in the midst of his cry. Imagine going on a century-long quest for a god, only for him to leave you ghosted. Lol. Suddenly, a book drops right in front of him. Ed is surprised, and wonders why he is being given yet another book to read. When Ed opens the book, he realizes that the number actually represents the time that has passed since he departed from that world. This implies that absolutely no time has passed in his original world. Ed feels accepted for once and thinks that maybe this time he can actually return to the world on the same day he was confined to this sacred place. When the mercenary tries to bust open the door, it simply fails to open for him. Another book drops right on his head, triggering Ed, who is frustrated that he has to go through another article. Instead, what he discovers is a key and a message that claims that he has been expelled in light of his service. Ed believes that he has never found a worse commemoration service, and discovers that this key can open any of the doors to his previous worlds. In light of that condition, Ed is also told that he should return to the sacred place by using the same key on basically any door in one of his chosen worlds, permanently destroying the key after its one-time use. Ed is excited to see the world from where he left off in his original life, and wants to put an end to this journey. However, this new key just forces him to go on a final mission in any world of his choosing. Ed thinks that he can simply use the key and return to this place, ensuring the conditions of the mission. He thinks it is an easy victory and hopes around in excitement, wondering what door he should pick. Ed stops by door number 1, which is the door leading to the first world he ever got transmigrated to. He recalls his difficulties in his first rodeo, not knowing how to navigate the unique world that he was thrown into. Even with the simple mission of joining the hero's party, Ed knew that he needed to become a hero in order to even hope of joining such a group. The only thing that helped Ed at the time was the first exile skill he received upon his summoning. The skill was known as the accidental flagbearer, with the effects of drawing the fates of the hero with his own. With that, Ed secured his position in the hero party. However, another problem came crashing down on him, as he didn't even have the powers to combat alongside his hero party. His skills weren't as good, which is why he tried to do whatever he could with his abilities at the time. Ed had to face many responsibilities to prove himself a valuable member, not knowing what his 3 party members thought of his contributions. Ed stayed in this world for nearly a year and a half up, until the point of his exile. He reasons that they only kicked him halfway and wonders what even happened after his departure. Ed notes the number plate at the bottom, and realizes that 10 years have passed since his travel. He is confident that their forces have amassed enough powers to surpass and defeat the Demon Lord, which is why Ed expects a flourishing view of a successful world. His curiosity draws him, and he thinks that it is a pleasant idea to rediscover the world that he once became a part of, even though this is a forced trip made for him. Ed confesses that while he shared many difficult times, he also explored springs of joy. With that mentality in mind, Ed steps right inside the door, being engulfed by the light of the transmigration portal as he travels to the beginning of his journey. After being transported, Ed steps into the grass, finding himself perplexed because the world doesn't seem to have developed even a bit. Ed decides to secure the key away and refreshes his memory of the world. He sees a town in the distance and voices that the Demon King should logically have been defeated by this point, ensuring there won't be any difficult demons for him to deal with. Ed wants to err on the side of caution and tries to confirm the fact when he is suddenly attacked by a gigantic blast from behind. Ed dodges the strike only to come face to face with a Goliath of a serpent, questioning why an entity as dangerous as this would even exist in such peaceful lands. Using this as an opportunity, Ed decides to whip out his blade, hoping to try out his exiled skills that he never had to fully utilize before. Bro is about to whip out the big guns, let's go. The gigantic serpent bares its fangs, waiting to swallow the human before it. Ed prepares for the strike and tanks the blow using his invincible wall, gearing for the perfect defense. Following his defensive maneuver, Ed waits for the serpent's next attack. The snake charges up a voluntary attack of acid before releasing it aimed at the traveler. Ed isn't the most impressed and thinks that it's just magic dissolving liquid. In fact, he allows the attack to hit him, showcasing yet another one of his skills of absorption. Next, Ed lunges forth and slices the titanic serpent in half, ensuring his victory in this battle. Following his easy victory over the serpent, Ed tries to continue his travels. He recalls his original missions of joining the hero's party and working alongside them, except that this prevented him from exploring many places on his own. Ed hopes to try a number of experiences. Suddenly, he senses something dire in the distance and immediately rushes forth, questioning if his senses are getting the better of him. To his absolute shock, Ed comes to a destroyed town, which runs contrary to his expectations, as he knows that at this point they should have defeated the Demon King. Ed wonders if this has caused a rift between the humans, and theorizes that it may have caused a rift between them. He moves around the vandalized remains of the city in order to find an answer, before drawing the attention of an old man, who tells him that he is not going to find anything in the city. The old man also tosses him a bag, adding to his confusion. When Ed asks about the situation concerning this world, the man explains that it has been only 2 years since the world fell to destruction and chaos. The kicker comes when he informs Ed that the Demon King's army became responsible for utterly annihilating their town. The revelation strikes Ed like a truck as he questions if the army is alive. The old man tells him that the Demon King has run over their world for quite a long time. Ed is shocked to note that these are not even the remnants of the army but, in fact, the original brooding force. Ed frantically questions the whereabouts of the hero Alexis, claiming that the prince of the country was nearly successful in subjugating the Demon King only 10 years ago. Ed's face wears a haunting expression as he is told that the hero Alexis died 5 years in the past, while fighting the Demon King's army. Ed is perplexed to believe that a hero such as him could die so easily and connects the dots to the monster he just faced. Yikes, top 10 unexpected plot twists of all time. The older man tells him that their hero is long dead and their town is just proof of the apocalypse. Ed frantically searches for answers, questioning the whereabouts of the remaining 2 members of the hero's party. The older man explodes in his face, stating that he has never heard of such people before. He doesn't know much on his own, including the rest of the people, as they have been sullied by the march of the Demon King's army. The man leaves Ed to his miserable contemplation. Ed fixates on the realization of death and cannot compute how and what led to the hero's party dying. With the world succumbing to such a dystopian state, the three, Alexis, Gonzo, and Tia, are no longer there, and he wonders if it has anything to do with his departure. Ed can't combat such an unreasonable ending, and thinks that there has to be some hope in this situation. The damned corpses of the hero party flood his mind, as he decides to confirm the state of the world himself using his exiled skills. Ed deploys his brilliant Akashic compass, chanting to search for the place of Alexis' death. Ed isn't too pleased to find that Alexis actually died, and discovers the direction of the demon castle. Next, he searches for Gonzo and finds that he, too, died in the same place as Alexis, meaning they were joint in their demise. Ed falls into a state of depression and guilt until he searches for Tia. To his surprise, the skill doesn't work on his command, as if to confirm that she is not dead. Coping with this discovery, Ed chanced to find her current location. After realizing her place of residence, Ed immediately deploys his hyper-speed Hermes dash ability, bouncing in incredible agility in the hopes of reaching his friend Tia. My guy turned into the Flash in the name of friendship. Ed comes faced with a lake against, which he uses a mirage shift, covering the distance in mere moments. His incredible speed wears off after a certain time as the demons begin following his trail. Over to the state of the Demon Castle. The Demon King's army is certain of their victory against the humans as they intend to eradicate all of humankind. These menacing figures are not expecting Ed, who spams his dashing ability and annihilates his way right through the demons as if they were nothing. Ed finally comes to a stop, completely out of breath, yet arriving at the location he desired. He thinks that he should have at least brought her a souvenir, and nervously searches through his dimensional storage to discover a unique fruit. With that, he is seconds away from knocking on Tia's door when he questions what she should be expecting and if she is even capable of greeting her with a smile. Ed knows that he didn't just travel across the entire world to have second thoughts and anticipate what is to come. However, his knock does not receive an answer, making him wonder if she is at home at all. Ed accidentally steps right inside, where he finds Lunarsha in her bed. Tia is taken aback by his sudden appearance and wonders if she is daydreaming in the open. In fact, his appearance sparks both joy and sadness in her heart. Ed remembers her no differently than from before, as she is the same even after 100 years of his travels. Tia comes to embrace Ed with a heartfelt hug, while he clings to his life. She goes as far as to pull his hair, to check if it is really him in the end, claiming that he disappeared out of nowhere, and wasn't ever found again in the world. Ed quickly comes up with an excuse, stating that he changed his name and started working in a different country. While the world has gone to hell, bro can't even gaslight. Tia appreciates that he is alive and well, and finds the fruit souvenir just pleasant. She ends up asking why his clothes are all in ruins, prompting Ed to reply that it all happened because of his worldly travels, to relocate a girl that he once knew. Tia is about to leave to change her clothes, making Ed uncomfortable. He reflects on his history of bad experiences with women, as even with Tia's slightest embrace, he would be left shaking in anxiety. Ed explores her house while she meets him, wearing the same exact clothes she wore when they first met. Ed questions why she is wearing her battle outfit while being indoors. Tia also tells him to take off his robe and begins to sew it for him. Tia is busy sewing and requests Ed to feed her the sliced fruit. With great nervousness, Ed manages to do as he is told, only for Tia to react in distaste as the fruit is quite sour. Ed thinks that she is overreacting, until he takes a bite and discovers it's straight up abominable. Ed reflects that even though Tia's looks are youthful, her actual age is over 100 years old, making him a small experience in her life. That's also the reason even after 10 years, she didn't judge. Ed blurts out that this treatment of him is only expected by the one who chose to exile him from the party. His remark immediately makes her sad, while Ed tries to reconcile the situation. Tia apologizes twice and thinks that Ed has come here to blame her again. Tia explains that she is the only one in her party who survived. Ed questions what truly led to their demise, to which she explains that after his departure, the party members wanted someone else to take his place. However, the search process didn't go well, as Ed left right near the climax of their battle against the Demon King's army, which means that people only wanted to be recruited for the massive achievements promised. Tia states that they were looking for a dependable member who could put in as much effort as they did, except they couldn't get along with the 6 people they hired as they quit soon, forcing them to hire a professional porter who also left after 3 months. Ed is confused by someone who only carries the luggage and would ditch them in such a way. Tia emphasizes that Ed's presence was too important for them in their party as he did everything for them. Ed finds it cute in hindsight, as he was only looking not to get kicked out early. Tia tells him that they greatly underestimated Ed's value in the party, which led to his exile. Tia tells him that only after their terrible experiences with the porter did they realize the weight of their banished comrade. Tia breaks down, explaining her difficulties as no one accepted their job, until they were approached by a mysterious man who was ready to carry any kind of luggage and do chores. Alexis, Gonzo, and Tia were happy as they brought him to the party. They finally made it through the demon world after some time. However, the moment they came to the end of the deep forest and inside the domain of the demon lord, the person who was with them ran away. He ran away with all of their healing potions and their preparatory magical tools, as if he had vanished in blue light. Ed's face is filled with concern, as he realizes that the man used a teleportation crystal to flee, expiring their only tool of insurance to return to the royal capital. Ed voices that it may not just be a matter of fear, but instead sabotage, as the person could have been looking to jeopardize the safety of their team. Tia recalls that because of his escape, they were forced to fight no matter what. However, the demonic beast overpowered them greatly. They had one last chance to use the teleportation crystal planted inside Alexis' armor, so as to ensure the hero returned home alive. Tia thought that the hero chosen by God should return. However, Alexis was already in his final moments and accepted defeat, as he didn't want to abandon his comrades. The hero entrusted Tia with the stone before breaking the crystal and activating it, sending her back to their home. That is the story of the hero who chose his pride as a hero, instead of focusing on his mission, resulting in the incorrect choice that led to the world's demise. Tia breaks down, bearing the loss of her friend and the hope of humanity. Ed waits for her to calm down as Tia chooses to continue her story. She tells him that she was transferred to a secret room in the castle of Notland. However, the people only scrutinized her for sabotaging her team and making her escape. The king himself questioned her situation. The king told her to hide somewhere else, so they could publish the report of the hero's party's demise. Ed is at odds hearing this at first, but realizes that it is a reasonable decision to protect her safety. Ed knows that Alexis made the incorrect decision as a hero and is going to get blamed for it, not to mention that they would compromise Tia's existence. Ed knows that the king made the right decision, respecting the wishes of his fallen son. Tia explains that she could never participate in the travels to the demon world because of that. She tells him about the expeditions involving the allied nation, which sent forces to rescue their hero, Alexis. They knew that they were not strong enough to move past the demon world even with their own army. Eventually, they failed with no heroes at their disposal. Tia states that it is a secret that she resides in this place, and questions how Ed managed to locate her at all. Ed states that he acquired a magic tool that allows him to search for people, and through it, he discovered that Alexis and Gonzo were deceased. Ed confirms the fact that they're both dead, including the others. Tia knows that it is expected, as they cannot even survive against the Demon King's mighty army. She finishes up his cloak with a flowery touch, which he finds rather cute. Suddenly, Ed feels a strange vibration and wonders what is happening. He steps outside only to come face to face with a monstrous lesser dragon. The beast eyes him down while Tia instructs him to hide as she will defeat it. The dragon charges a powerful blast to destroy the two. Ed tells her that it's easy for her to handle such a threat, but Tia drags him away and casts her beautiful water wall to repel the attack. Tia claims that she doesn't want anyone to die anymore, and that she will protect Ed until the end. Lunarcia casts her magnificent magic to summon a tri-edge stream attack, rupturing the dragon's body apart in a single blow. Ed is the most amazed by the best of her abilities, while Tia advises him to get away as soon as possible. Her recent attack has caused a strange toll on her body, while Ed wonders what's causing her hand to react. Tia tells him that she tried to show off, and ended up taking a little bit of recoil from it. Her limping state turns Ed cautious, but all she cares about is impressing him. Ed tells her to rest and thinks that as a member of the hero's party, Tia should be fine. He ponders her words and thinks that he should take care of the remains of the monster, putting it inside his dimensional storage box. Ed hears a thud from inside and makes his way through. He discovers Tia's body collapsed on the ground. To his sheer horror, Ed discovers that she is a bloodied mess, as black bruises are quickly taking over her body. It is as if they are patches of dead skin. Damn, that's a terrible condition if I have ever seen one. Ed tries to take care of her until she recovers and calms down. When Tia wakes up, she tells him that she used the elf's secret technique while fighting against the monsters with Alexis. That technique increased her powers by tenfold at the cost of her own life. Tia tells him that the price she paid was her very own lifespan. Ed worriedly questions why she suddenly suffered such dreadful effects. He realizes that she nearly spent her entire lifespan in a single attack against the lesser dragon. Tia claims that she only did as much because she thought Ed was at risk. Hearing her words, Ed can't believe that she tried to protect him to this extent and realizes that she doesn't know about his powers at all. Tia tells him that she no longer has enough magic to survive, and that her clothes are the only things that channel the magic through her body using the divine tree. She doesn't know if she can live any longer and ends up forcibly risking her health because of Ed. Ed directly accepts the blame himself, realizing that he is such a bad person that he made her use her powers. He thinks that the world only succumbed to an apocalypse because he selfishly left it. Ed's face shows worry and concern. Tia tries to tell him that she lived a more fulfilling life than most elves, despite her short lifespan. Ed doesn't want to accept her parting words, and claims that they have a lot to do in this world. Suddenly, he senses the presence of even more creatures, prompting Tia to state that he should run away. Ed refuses in her face, stating that even though he looks the same and his body is also the same as when he was weak, he has been working incredibly hard on his own, gaining experience unlike any other. Ed ambiguously tells her that he's been on so many different adventures and declares that he has become strong. This time, Ed vows to protect Tia. The mercenary comes to confront the monsters with a cold look on his face. Ed promises to never leave her alone again. The elf doesn't know what he means by that and tries to stand up for him, even when she is suffering the effects of her condition. Ed begins his massacre by slaying a herd of demonic beasts on his own, believing that this won't bring back his comrades or fix Tia's lifespan. Despite those facts, he no longer wants the world to end in such a way. Ed wholly believes that he will become the driving force to return them to those days. He casts the use of bloodsmithing and mercilessly slaughters the monsters in one fell swoop, drawing a shocking expression on Tia's face. Ed thinks to himself and realizes that he can use his final exiled skill to change the course of the story back from the very beginning. We get a callback to the time Tia drove Ed out of the party, which is actually explained to be her way of protecting him. She knew that he would garner hate for her, but chose to prioritize Ed's safety. In the present, Ed tells her that he is still able to protect Tia with his abilities. She wonders how he got so strong, while Ed tells her that he simply started getting stronger being exiled. Tia tells him that perhaps he could use his abilities to take her to the border of the demon world. She begs for him to do it, and Ed decides to fulfill her wish, stating that he is ready to take her, even if it is the end of the world. Ed already knows what is waiting for him on the other side, and doesn't ask her for the details. He is only concerned about fulfilling Tia's wish at present. They jump into the demon realm with his abilities, and Tia confirms that they, indeed, have entered the right location. There, Tia explains that Alexis used the transfer crystal to send her away, and though she never thought she would return to the same place, someone like Ed was capable of fulfilling her wish. Tia further states that she knows Ed is even stronger than Alexis in his current position. She tells him that there was a time when Tia thought Ed needed to be protected, but now he has become strong enough to protect her instead. Tia wonders if the others also could have been able to see a peaceful world after the defeat of the Demon King. In her final few moments and her dying breath, Tia remains thankful to Ed as he fulfills her desires by bringing her to this location. She asks Ed about his desires, and he responds that he wants to go home, since he hasn't been there in a long time. Tia tells him that she wants to see his place someday, too, while Ed tries to comfort her in her final moments, even confessing about his exiled skills. He feels the sting of loss, as Tia has already departed from their world, leaving Ed on his own once again. No, I'm not crying, you are. Wallowing in his loss of a loved one, Ed wonders if this too is part of God's plan, and if acquiring these skills had true meaning behind it in the end. Pointing his fist to the sky, Ed finally declares his final skill, known as the one-time claim, allowing him to revert to the concept of space-time as he returns to his original location. Ed wakes up horrified, wondering what happened. He tries to reassess his situation, remembering his encounter with lowly pests at his previous job. It seems that he has lost some of his memories as he lays his eyes on the door in the book for the first time again. After reading the contents of the book, Ed finds that he has to complete 100 different quests to return to his original home planet. He immediately rejects the idea and claims that it is stupid for a small-time mercenary to get wrapped up in such a business of a hero's party, until the mystical globe begins to shine, and the moment Ed rests his hand on it, everything comes racing back. He is hit with a surge of information clashing in his brain as his memories take hold of the past. Ed finally remembers all of his encounters in the many different worlds that he has been to. He is on the brink of defeat after receiving such daunting memories of the past. Ed also remembers the face of his beloved Tia right before her death. He grapples in cold sweat, not knowing if this is the outcome of his wish. Ed recalls that he used a skill that deceived even the likes of God, the skill known as the blessing of the second lap. With this skill, all of his memories and abilities are reset, and he returns to his past self, who had just arrived in the world of white. Ed knows that he can never reuse this skill again, but also believes that a one-time use is sufficient enough. He hopes to do what he failed to do in the future, as now he possesses unrivaled strength. After being successfully exiled from all the different worlds, Ed once again paces to a future that he wants to prevent, changing the tragic ending to a happier one with this second chance. Thus, the story begins again in the first world, where the hero, Alexis, is in the middle of rejecting an adventurer from joining their party. Alexis is shown to be a hit with the public, and suddenly senses the presence of someone from behind. However, this person is actually sitting right in front of him, none other than Ed himself, who claims that he is the strongest swordsman and the luggage carrier in one. Alexis abruptly turns back, shocked that he was unable to detect his presence. Ed introduces himself to the hero, and claims that he's just a lonely adventurer with no goal in sight. Ed remembers that he actually deployed a persistent approach the first time he came to this world, and only when he promised to work for free did they even consider him for a luggage carrier. Ed knows that because of his existence as a luggage carrier, he won't have any logical influences in the story to take place. Alexis questions how he will fight if he is a luggage carrier, as if to knock him down a peg. Ed is confident and claims that he could just demonstrate his skills by defeating the hero while carrying a plate at the same time. Ed wants Alexis to acknowledge his strength and immediately pushes back Alexis, who acknowledges the challenge and states that he will consider Ed's participation if he doesn't drop his plate. Ed is too busy mouthing his words when Alexis makes his first move, nearly hitting his eye. Ed manages to block the attack in swiftness while keeping the plate intact. Alexis realizes that while having a big mouth, Ed boasts some kind of skill as well. Ed tells him that the hero should consider the option of surrender. Alexis resumes his assault, while Ed believes that he has to showcase his strength. He knows that the hero in front of him is very strong, with the people backing him up, which is also why the hero is said to be the only driving force to defeat the Demon King, as their one and only hope. Ed thinks that one requires mountainous strength in order to become a part of the hero's party. Ed has no choice but to show some of his strength, so as to ensure his participation in the party. Taking a break from their battle, Ed taunts the hero, stating that his steak is just getting cold at this point and needs a little heat to it. His remark is enough for Alexis to bump his strength up a notch, and so the battle becomes a high-speed sword clash where the two are contesting each other on equal grounds. Ed is not impressed and thinks that the hero of all people should be capable of doing much more. Alexis prepares for another strike, gliding his weapon to use one of the more powerful skills as a hero. His blade now sparkles with an endless shine of white as he commands the move Moonlight Sword. This slash poses a concern for Ed, as even though he could block this attack with ease using his impenetrable fortress ability, he wants to be acknowledged as a companion instead. To honor the attack, Ed decides to overcome Alexis' ability to use a sword strike of his own. With precision, Ed locks in the precise direction of his swing compared to the direction of his slash, before parrying the whole of the attack. Alexis witnesses his strength and finds that Ed has broken his blade, yet successfully fended off the attack. Not only that, he is struck with admiration from the townsfolk who witnessed his incredible abilities as a match to the hero. The people gain a newfound respect for him, believing him to be someone similar to the hope of humanity. Ed turns to Alexis and shouts at him for using such a dangerous move, as it could have jeopardized the safety of the people. Alexis tells him that he considered the risk as a hero before taking his action. Gonzo the monk chimes in to reveal that the true test of their screening process is to ensure the party member is capable of taking a serious attack from their hero. This is why Alexis went leaps and bounds to push Ed to such a level. Gonzo is the world's strongest martial artist with hands unlike any other. They literally describe this dude with hands as rated E for everyone. How badass is that? Finally, Ed hears the voice of a particular elf and freezes on the spot. He turns to face this elf, who is supposed to be Tia, and her very sight makes his heart race faster from the memories they shared. Tia comes to worry for him with a considerate face. Ed can't help himself and immediately cracks tears from his eyes. Tia doesn't know what she has done, and wonders if she said something wrong. Ed can't fathom the reality before him, that Tia is alive and well in this world instead of receiving her tragic end. Alexis also claims that he didn't really do anything extraordinary, even in their fight, deeming his very existence to be special and unparalleled. Bro is in his head praising himself. Ed makes the excuse that he was so moved by the compassion of the hero's party that it brought him to tears. Ed requests Tia to say his name another time, and he jumps in excitement the moment she voices it. She finds Ed to be a strange person, while Alexis shoots him a suspicious glare. Alexis states that there is no point in celebrations because the luggage that he was supposed to protect is on the ground, which means he failed the test while parrying the attack of the Moonlight Sword. Tia is shocked that they're refusing someone like Ed and tries to persuade Alexis, claiming that he was going head-to-head with someone like the hero and also gained the support of the people. Alexis questions why Tia is insistent on selecting someone like him. The elf simply states that he's just a strong asset for their team, which makes Alexis feel left out because he's the strongest in their team. Tia turns to Gonzo for advice, who believes that upholding two responsibilities as a combatant and a luggage carrier can be difficult. Tia and Gonzo both raise their hands in support of Ed, leaving Alexis to make the decision. The hero acknowledges the swordsmanship of the adventurer before him, and states that he may as well be the strongest aside from his existence. Alexis tosses him a coin and claims that they don't require pure combat strength and only look for a porter, but he doesn't have any complaints about whether Ed can live up to both roles. For his final test, Alexis tells him to buy the necessary goods for an adventure. He wants to test him on the basis of his preparedness for an adventure. Alexis takes the coin and already feels confident in meeting the hero's expectations. Alexis entrusted this coin to Ed to see how he would utilize it, what assets he would acquire for their adventure, and the matter of transportation. Alexis observes that he is actually holding a gold coin, and although in his first life he was given 10 silver coins, this time he was entrusted with even more. Ed thinks that this is a good sign and finds himself at a loss in town because of his inexperience with the city. Tia follows him along, and Ed asks her if she wants something from him. The elf is annoyed that he used her name so casually but reveals that she is completely fine with him doing so. Tia tells him that she's tagging along for curiosity, while Ed states that it's still reckless to follow someone they just met. Tia tells him that she isn't as petite as she looks and is quite strong on the inside. She really said, "Don't play with me, for real." She also senses that someone like Ed is a good person. Her remark shakes him completely, because he knows that Tia never treated him the same way. That is when Ed wonders if Tia also shares her memories from the past. Gonzo discusses this with Alexis and wonders if it is okay for Tia to follow him. Alexis doesn't really care because he respects Tia's decision and knows she wouldn't just listen to him. Alexis is busy creating a work of art, aka he hammers a beautiful piece of furniture and finds himself impressed with his own skills because it is actually his first ever attempt. Alexis decides to leave with Gonzo after creating his successful first craft. On the other hand, Tia wonders if Ed is worried about something since he is acting strangely. Ed claims that he is surprised that she is already comfortable with him despite their first encounter. Tia tells him that the elves live much longer than the humans, so she has basically grown used to everything. Tia also claims that the elves store memories into their very being of souls, and even through the process of reincarnation, those very memories reign supreme as they are etched into their very essence. Tia tells him that she feels a bit of nostalgia as an elf, reflecting that she felt something similar while seeing Ed's face a while ago. Ed wonders if such a feeling could be similar to the feeling of déjà vu. Tia shares that she can't help but surface the idea that they knew each other in the past and shared a bond of some kind. Hearing her explanation, Ed tells her to tag along freely beyond this point and wonders if there is any truth to the concept of a soul. Ed doesn't understand how such souls work and has no way of knowing. The only thing he knows is the knowledge of his future, making him to be an existence capable of bringing his memories and abilities into his past life. This tells him that there is a world out there where dormant memories of the souls inevitably spark awaken, but he doesn't know if it's even provable beyond this point. Ed and Tia share a baffled face as they stand before a building that was apparently damaged by the Moonlight Sword. Alexis claims that he is the one who rather easily decorated it with angelic statues, once again reminding himself that he is a special existence. Tia and Ed are both impressed by his craftsmanship. Alexis and Gonzo are presented with Ed's bundles of rationing. The so-called newbie adventurer claims that he has made the necessary calculations for the rationing for up to an entire year. Gonzo is shocked at how he was able to fit bundles of food so easily. Ed tells them that he acquired a magical tool in ruins, home to a gigantic storage. Alexis and Gonzo are impressed, while Ed keeps up with his lie, as if he, too, is unfamiliar with the ability. Ed reflects that it's easier for someone to be exiled by making it a matter of tools than of abilities, which is why he used his dimensional storage ability as an excuse for a tool that acts like a magic bag. Ed is confident that not even the hero's perception can see past his scheme, and claims that his bag can literally store 2 to 3 warehouses worth of storage when, in reality, it can hold items infinitely. Tia sparks enjoy being impressed by Ed's abilities. The mercenary presents their second tool of asset, a tool that creates water for them. Alexis claims that they already have a method of acquiring water, which is a spirit magic that takes care of all their needs. He doesn't know why Ed took the extra effort to show them a magic tool for it. Ed claims that his reason for buying such an item is because it allows them to have water at all times, meaning if Tia was out of commission in some way, they would lose their access to the spirits for assistance with water. Alexis realizes that relying on one person for their water supply is, in fact, dangerous and admits that he let his guard down. Alexis acknowledges the adventurer's skills and tells him that he will keep his promise and allow him to join their party. Gonzo, Ed, and Tia celebrate in joy upon his participation, while Alexis observes Ed's sword. Alexis thinks that his rather ordinary sword doesn't really match his talent and wonders if Ed made a small compromise with what was left of his money. Ed tells him that it's an ordinary sword and claims that he has acquired innumerable treasures during his travels. Alexis doesn't know what he is talking about, while Ed thinks that he is months ahead in preparation. The hero party begins their first quest as they arrive at a mine known for manufacturing silverware items. During this adventure, Ed explained his plan, which is based on information he acquired reliably. Ed claims that a rockworm has built a den. Alexis and the others grow alert to this revelation. Ed reflects how rockworms completely devour anything and everything made of silver, leaving giant crevices in their wake. Ed knows that in exactly 3 months, the rockworm will cause a massive cave-in and take the lives of many people, imposing ruin in the town. When they arrived at this mine, they had already spent 3 months on their journey. Alexis wants to notify the authorities to take care of the matter for them, but Ed insists on taking care of the disaster before its occurrence. Ed tells them that he wants the hero's party to take the initiative in taking down the rockworm. Alexis realizes that the very treasure that Ed points to is the existence of mithril. Ed is glad that he took the bait, while Tia wonders if the rockworm and mithril are related somehow. Mithril is a rare material capable of conducting mana and storing it in large quantities, which makes the magical tools commonly made of mithril. Alexis doesn't fancy her explanation and gives Ed the initiative to explain. Ed exposes the nature of silver as when it is influenced by strong magic over a period, it actually transforms into mithril. Tia has difficulty taking the hint, while Ed tries his best to point her to the conclusion. Ed finally tells the dunce Tia that mithril is basically the excrement of the rockworms. Whoa, she's gonna have nightmares coping with that one, I bet. Alexis confirms that Ed plans to defeat the rockworm, except that he doesn't know what he intends to do with the mithril. Ed states that they're going to use the mithril for him to prepare the strongest weapons for the hero's party. In the mine, the workers are told to evacuate the place on the hero's orders and will not be told to re-enter it until tomorrow. The hero's party lines up, stepping into the deeper mine to search for the rockworm. Tia is a little annoyed because Ed destroyed her fantasies of the beautiful mithril crystal by revealing that it is just the worm's droppings. Poor innocent elf, press F in the comments out of her respect for her crushed dreams. There is also the topic of buying mithril, but Ed believes that they would waste a lot of resources in acquiring it, which wouldn't be the same as the real deal. Alexis backs this explanation, stating that pure mithril allows one to make exceptionally premium weapons with unparalleled quality. Ed confirms that they're on the right track and that he could never be wrong with his exiled skill, Akashic Compass. Descending into the deeper mine, they finally come to a stop at a dead end. Tia wonders where the worm is, while Gonzo is excited to use his muscles to tear down any walls. Ed claims that it won't be necessary and shows them another one of his exile skills, repeatedly kicking away at the wall. Tia is worried, but Alexis is concerned about where Ed is taking this. Finally, Ed issues a powerful slam and baits the rockworm in their direction. With his final attack, the mine begins to shake as Alexis readies them for battle. Tearing through the walls is the indomitable force of a rockworm with its gaping teeth. Whoa, call back to the sandworms of Dune, am I right? Gonzo decides to take charge and contests the rockworm with all his muscular might, protecting his party members from the attack. Using this opportunity, Alexis and the others concentrate on their attack, while the elf Lunarsha chants another incantation for a magnificent volcanic lance attack. The fiery lance strikes the rockworm to an immense degree, except their battle isn't quite over. The rockworm tries to escape the encounter, but Ed has already made his way through as he descends from above. Ed jumps right into the belly of the beast as it tries to escape while ascending to the roof. Concentrating on its vital spots, Ed believes that this is the easiest way to defeat the rockworm, as he channels his blood blade tempering skill. In a matter of moments, the rockworm's body stops ascending, as it has already been defeated during its escape. Ed slashes out of his body and emerges with nasty fluids covering all over him. Alexis and Gonzo are once again impressed by his abilities, while Tia comes to embrace him in worry, wondering if he got hurt somewhere. Ed tells her that he is fine as the blood is from the rockworm itself. Tia breaks down in concern for her fellow companion, deeming it to be a reckless assault. Ed realizes that she broke down in a similar way during his first life, and knows that the beloved, yet adorable elf hasn't changed a bit. Ed is confident that this is Tia's true face, and reflects that she won't have anything to worry about in this life. Finally, he presents them with a chunk of pure mithril, sparkling with its beauty. Gonzo is underwhelmed to find that it's only a handful acquired from a gigantic rockworm, while Alexis thinks that it will do them enough as this is pretty big compared to the standard size. Alexis thinks that one could actually buy an entire castle for this amount, as it is a one-of-a-kind item requiring only the best smith to perfect their weapons. Alexis comes to Ed and wonders if he has a smith in mind for them to create the weapons. Ed claims that he planned on forging the weapons since he was a brilliant blacksmith. Bro is the jack of all trades, the dude knows everything. Returning to the smith's workshop to craft their weapons, Ed is dazzled by how much he can do with the tools, and wonders what he should choose. Alexis tells him that he specially prepared the whole place for him to work on their weapons. The hero reminds him that their efforts would be in vain if Ed took this even with the slightest disregard. Ed shoots him a confident smile, stating that he has indeed prepared himself. When Alexis returns with Tia and Gonzo, he takes note of Tia, who is just amazed by Ed's abilities. Alexis thinks that it is a bit strange for the elf to be fond of someone in such a way. Tia doesn't even know why she is acting in such a way. Gonzo speaks with Alexis, who says that the hero himself is fond of the newcomer. The hero claims that he has been keeping quite an eye on Ed's abilities. Alexis can't fathom the fact that Ed is a swordsman of rivaling ability, while at the same time capable of possessing knowledge and mysterious artifacts unlike any other. Alexis thinks that it's beyond impressive even in his eyes, and admits that he is fond of Ed in his own way. Back to Ed, he and Tia are making preparations. The mercenary can't help but see the memories of the future Tia every time he looks at the one in front of her. Ed confesses that there are many things in the world he is incapable of doing, as he has let the most precious of things slip from his grasp. Vowing in his thoughts, Ed intends never to repeat the same mistakes once again, in order to make use of the second chance that he was entrusted with. He hopes to change the ending of this world, using the skills that he has acquired over the span of 100 different adventures. Believing it in his heart, he uses his abilities to craft weapons strong enough to contest the wheels of fate. Freaking badass. However, a demonic force somewhere else has taken note of the defeat of the rockworm. Saiyan intends to report his findings today to the Demon Lord. We're shown an important memory from the time Ed was taking Tia to the border of the Demon Lord. Ed inquired about the porter who ditched them and ran away, questioning his identity. Tia claims that she remembers him as an ordinary person and reveals his name. She did recall that he possessed a distinctive nose. Damn, she really said the bozo got an ugly nose. In the present, Tia wakes up from this dream memory and wonders why she keeps having the same dream, while seeing Ed in a different version of herself. Ed is busy crafting his weapons and wonders if he woke her up. Ed advises her to rest while he takes care of the craft, but Tia insists on watching him work for a while longer. Ed is blown out from sweat and reflects that he couldn't really take his acquired map ability from his previous runs. He also had to rebuild his own sword because of that. Ed thinks that he doesn't feel handicapped, as his abilities and memories are still very strong. Observing him from a spot, Saiyan questions the identity of the human and realizes that he is the one causing waves of uncertainty for them. Saiyan knows that this man is supposed to be a porter, which makes him wonder why Ed is busy forging a weapon. Saiyan doesn't want to assassinate him at once and claims that he can take over any human form, but if he blows his cover, it will vastly hinder him in future missions. The shapeshifter returns to his state of a shadow lizard and states that he wants to acquire more information before reporting the matter to the Demon King. Morning comes by, and Ed has prepared the weapons in 6 days. Alexis wonders if the final result will be enough to impress him. Ed tells them that he has made the ultimate weapons, while Gonzo tells him to just show them the tools. Ed wants to reveal what he has made but claims that they have to find the correct place to demonstrate the tools first. Saiyan is doing reconnaissance and sees that he has made a sword, a gauntlet, and a silver staff. Saiyan is curious about the equipment and wants to acquire more information when suddenly, he feels the haunting presence of Ed shooting them a monstrous glare. Saiyan is so afraid that he shape-shifts his form into a shadow bat and flees to report the matter to the Demon King. Abort mission, abort mission. However, he still cannot shake the uneasy feeling that he was noticed by Ed and his unwavering glare of a predator. Saiyan thinks that he is about to flee, but certain icicle crystals strike him from an impossible distance. Ed hovers over the lousy bat, stating that he has always wanted to meet the general of the demon army. Saiyan is at a loss, while Ed continues to overpower him with intel of his own. Gonzo and Tia also arrive while Saiyan frets for his life, realizing that he is the one who is being watched this entire time. Saiyan returns to his human form and claims that he is just an envoy of the Demon King with a message for the hero. Saiyan tries to be persuasive, but Ed reminds him that the hero isn't going to be coming, and he's allowing them the chance to deal with him on their own. A completely different yet intimidating side of Ed voices that he is going to shatter the dream of the future beginning from the present. Saiyan once again tries to shape-shift and emerges into a gigantic monster to kill them. Gonzo deploys his aura shield, while they hover in the skies to take down this gigantic rod of a demon. The true form of Saiyan charges a heavy blow, aiming to reduce the entire city to pieces. His attack doesn't pose a problem for the party, and Gonzo capably blocks the attack because of his impressive aura shield. Saiyan is shocked that the magical barrier covers the whole of the town, which should be an impossible feat. Gonzo stands tall in protecting them, while Tia finds it an impressive feat from Gonzo and Ed. Alexis watches the battle from a distance and wonders if their new weapons are really capable of doing so much. Gonzo is wearing the pair of gauntlets that Ed especially crafted for him, making him a deadly force with unstoppable strength. Gonzo proceeds to channel the brunt of his mana into a fist before unleashing a cataclysmic strike, annihilating the monster's arm. The beast remains defeated on the ground, with nowhere left to run. Saiyan doesn't know how the hero party has advanced to such an absurd degree, and if it has anything to do with Ed's involvement. Saiyan loyally tries to uphold his value as a spy, and uses his final ability to flee from the scene. Ed realizes that Saiyan once again used his ability to transform and run away. Saiyan actually plunged underground, hoping for them not to chase him. To his surprise, Tia used her rock bind ability with her special staff, completely pulling the rock worm entrapped out of the ground. Ed comes over to check on Saiyan, stating that he knows exactly what is going to happen. He voices that this is his atonement and endlessly slices the monster with his silver-winged sword attack. With that, his beautiful dance of a blade ends the monster's life. Ed wonders if everything is good now, while his friends celebrate the victory with him. It seems that he also finds some pride in his swordsmanship, just like the hero Alexis. Tia doesn't know if the monster is dead, but Alexis informs her that Ed cut the monster in such a smooth way that it's impossible to even take note of the cuts. Alexis jumps on him with his many abilities, while Ed tries to excuse his way out. Alexis emphasizes that he is the hero and knows that there is not a single craftsman in the world capable of creating something impossible like he did. Alexis draws a suspicious look at Ed, questioning his real identity and wherever he has come from.